right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today, but the first story that I've got for you guys today, unfortunately, is a sad story. Online weightlifting legend Bud Jeffries has passed away as of January 21st of this year. His wife shared a pretty heartbreaking post on Instagram, but a lot of you guys who might be familiar with Bud are probably familiar with his what could only be described as unconventional lifting videos. He would do all these crazy workouts and feats of strength in his backyard using all kinds of, kind of homemade apparatus. Really impressive feats of strength. And he had about 60,000 followers on Instagram. But if you weren't following him on Instagram, you might have seen his videos shared. They were often shared on a lot bigger platforms, sometimes like Barstool Sports, some of these more unconventional lifts. So really an online strength enthusiast legend. So he passed away on the 21st at the age of 48 years old, apparently doing what he loved while he was training. He collapsed, according to the post from his wife, where she says, this is Bud's wife, Heather. I've been trying to find the right words to post all of you. I'm heartbroken and overwhelmed to have to say that yesterday afternoon, Friday, January 21st, around 3:30, while doing a light training session outside, Bud collapsed, and I performed CPR until medics arrived, but the lengthy efforts to resuscitate him, he never recovered. Then she goes on to say, it would appear to have been a pulmonary embolism, but this has not been yet decided as the final cause, possibly a result of his brief bout with the virus in early December. Again, that has not been determined. So I was actually looking back at some of his earlier posts, and he was actually hospitalized in and out because of the virus. So it could have been related to that, but always very unfortunate to lose somebody, even more unfortunate to lose somebody at that young of an age, 48. So I just wanted to start out this video paying a little bit of a tribute to Bud because I enjoyed his videos, and I know a lot of you guys did as well. So a brief moment of silence for Bud Jeffries at the beginning of this video. Now, next up in the news, Jamal Browner, powerlifter extraordinaire. He actually recently attempted a 501kg deadlift, which is very impressive considering the fact that he competes in the 110kg weight class, which is about 242 pounds. So that is about 200 pounds lighter than Hafthor was when he set that record of 501 kgs. Hafthor was weighing around a little bit over 440 pounds. So I don't know exactly what Jamal was weighing here, but he did recently compete in that 110 kg weight class. But he attempted the 501 kgs, which is about 1,105 pounds. And the impressive part about this is not only the fact that he weighs significantly less than Hafthor, is that he got it off the ground. He started to move it fairly quickly, and you can see how impressed everybody is in the background of the gym watching him with that attempt, because obviously that would be a world record tying attempt, but I think it's even more impressive than Thor's if he were able to get it because he's so significantly lighter than Thor is. Now, even though the 501 kg attempt was not successful, that same day he also attempted 483 kgs, which is 1,065 pounds, which was a successful attempt. So very impressive. He's been putting up some pretty impressive numbers for a while now, so it's not like he's a guy that's been completely off the radar, but a lot of guys right now, including Jamal, coming within striking distance of that 501 kg record. So maybe it's going to be sooner rather than later that we see that record fall. Now, it is worth mentioning here that he did compete a week ago, Jamal did, at the Hybrid Showdown 4, where he attempted a deadlift of 975.5 or 442.5 kgs on both his second and third attempt. In both of those, he got red lights on, and the only white lighted attempt was the 920.4 or 417.5. So it is worth noting that these were outside of a competition. These were just gym deadlifts here, but still very impressive nonetheless. Now, let's go ahead and pivot from the strength stories back to bodybuilding stories. So Ruff Diesel, Terrence Ruffin, posted basically a full posing video 6 weeks out from the Arnold Classic 2022, showing us how much size he has been able to recover. Not necessarily recover size, I guess, but I guess mostly just showing us that his recent battle with the virus didn't really set him back much at all. He still looks very impressive, and I said this a couple times before, but I think he looks much more ahead of schedule than he looked during his prep for last year's Arnold. I know it was a big conversation going into last year's Arnold that comparatively to other guys doing the show and other guys doing the Olympia, he looked a little bit further out than they did. But I think in these updates at 6 weeks out from the Arnold, he looks a lot better than he did at 6 weeks out last time around, which might not really matter a whole lot because Terrence does have this unique ability to quickly make these rapid transformations to his physique. But look, I think Terrence will successfully defend his title here. I think he will win. He was just runner-up at the Olympia, and obviously he was last year's Arnold Classic champ. So he's got that momentum going for him, but I think he is by far the best poser that's going to be in this lineup, and I think that's very important in classic physique, and I think he is by far the best physique in that lineup. And I've even said this before, as big of a fan as I am of Chris Bumstead, I think Terrence was really actually pushing him at this last Olympia. So I think Terrence is underrated. I really don't think he gets the hype that he deserves. And I think he's a very dangerous competitor. But that being said, I do think that the two guys that are going to be pushing him are going to be Ramon Dino and Urs Kausinski, but I think it's going to be more Ramon. I think this might be a breakout show for Ramon based on some of the updates that I've seen of him going into the Arnold. This might be the best version of him that we've ever seen. I think Ramon looked better at that Expo Pro show that he did post-Olympia than he looked at the Olympia where he took 5th place. So continuing with that trend, I think he's going to look even better at the Arnold Classic in 6 weeks. But that being said, I don't think Terrence has much to worry about here. Now, next up in the news, another Arnold Classic physique update. We've been talking a lot on this channel about Justin Rodriguez. He's been posting a lot of physique updates, really, which I like. I like a competitor like Justin that is very actively keeping his fans updated. And Justin, I really think, is one of the most underrated guys in the men's open class at this year's Arnold Classic. Keep in mind, at last year's Arnold, he took 4th. At the 2021 Arnold. At the Olympia last year, 2021, he was top 10. I would not be surprised one bit if he's in the top 3 here at this year's Arnold Classic. I really don't know why he's not talked about that much. He's only got like 50,000 followers comparatively to like Nick Walker. Nick Walker's got like 800,000 followers. And him and Nick were only separated by 2 placings at last year's Arnold. And I think, honestly, there's a good probability that this becomes the Brandon versus Bonac 2.0 show. I mean, they've had a pretty good rivalry in the sense that they've gone kind of tit for tat at the Arnold before, Brandon and Bonac, that is. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're towards the upper echelon of the top 6 in this year's Arnold, if they're the top 2, realistically. But I wouldn't be surprised if that top 3 winds up consisting of Brandon Curry, William Bonac, and Justin Rodriguez, even though the first 2 names are a lot more talked about than Justin is. And speaking of William Bonac, he just posted a physique update as well. He says this was taken on January 18th, 2022, 6 weeks out from the Arnold. And keep in mind, Bonac, I think, is looking for a little bit of redemption here. He was not able to compete, even though he was scheduled to compete at last year's Arnold. And at the Olympia, he slipped a little bit. He wound up in 6th. I don't think he's happy with that placing, and I think he's going to be looking for some redemption at this year's Arnold Classic, and I think he's coming for the win here. He's coming for Brandon Curry. I honestly would not be surprised one bit if that top 3 was Brandon in 1st, Bonac in 2nd, and Justin in 3rd. Or even Bonac winning. But I honestly think, I've said this before, I think Brandon is going to win the show. That's my early prediction. I'm going to do some Arnold prediction videos when we get to like 4 weeks out and we have more updates from all the competitors as we get closer to the show. But right now, my premature prediction is that Brandon is going to win. So that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And as you click that subscribe button, make sure you also click that bell notification icon to be notified every time I upload. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.